under the spotlight. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Once I know how to do,
financial modeling.
once I know how to do, once I know how to do like financials, we'll go through yours. Yeah.
Amazing. Because I've had Chaninya go through mine, and so like I've had the most critical eyes in Ray's look at Future Proof's financial model. So I'm cool. Like I'm gonna be
And
teacher's pet
how
in
did you
this
feel
exercise.
afterwards? Did you feel like confident, or like damn, I need to work harder?
So I use that financial model on a daily basis. Hi Dan from Equidam, yay! It's nice to see you. Dan's here, and Equidam is a partner that in our valuations. So I'm so glad Dan's here today.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
because they can all verify like all the stuff that we're going to be talking about when it comes to valuations. So no, I use our financial model.
I never thought I'd see Caleb live. That's
funny. I use our financial model all the time. So it's not like a redundant thing that sits in the background that comes out when I have to do an investor pitch. It's something that I use all the time, and I plug in like data and variables within it. Mine is really clever because it's got a little macro that indicates if it's within the desired GP. So I aim for a 29% GP across all my revenue streams. And that means that my net profits.
GP, what does that mean?
Gross profits. Okay. Please correct, catch me on this session, because I will talk in acronyms if I'm not caught.
Yeah.
Okay. And acronyms just irritate everybody. So please catch me on this. Gigi's here. Oh, amazing. From Ingenie. So cool, Gigi. Yay. Thank you for joining us. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. It's like all the fans in the house.
Emmanuel and Olamiji as well. What's this live about? We're going to be talking about financials for founders, but we might wait a little bit longer before we kick off.
Yes, I might do so.
So you have a thing that makes sure you're above, do you say 29% gross profit?
So 29% gross profit. So whenever I type in the variables, am I going to change the price of something? Am I going to change the number of users that it goes to? Am I going to change the costs that are associated? And mine is really clever, so that if I put in any of the variables, it immediately calculates whether or not it's a 29% GP. And if it's lower than 29% of GP, that little cell goes red. And if it's at 29 or above, it's green. So I know immediately on each of my revenue streams what is happening in my business, and am I keeping above that 29% GP? Because then my overheads based on the overhead expenses will always be covered if I'm making sure that all my revenue streams are within that band. So you can quiz me all you like. I'm
nice.
I
do have a question, which is a bit of an advanced finance question, but we may as well while we're waiting.
Yes.
What happens when you're you're well over gross profits and you've actually made a bunch of money and you're like, oh, now I have this cash in the bank. What do you do with it? How do you handle all the money?
With it? You put it and you buffer it and you save it, because COVID, right? Cash liquids. We all needed to be cash liquid. Lorato's here. Lorato was my previous CFO in Future Proof. So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about today is courtesy of her learning that she taught me. So Lorato's in the house. That's so cool, Lorato. Yay. I'm so excited. This could be an amazing session.
I'm super keen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fiona's asking this tool that we've been talking about. So Fiona, just so that you're jumping in here, there is a tool that's available. It's not the one that I'm talking about. Mine is specific to my business. But there is a template that Raise has got offered that you can download complimentary from us. And the team is going to pop it into the chat as the session goes. So look out for that. And you can download the templates and you can start populating it with your assumptions as we go.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Should we kick off?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, welcome everyone. I can see myself live on my LinkedIn now. This is interesting. Cool. Welcome, everyone. I'm just like, I'm looking at myself talking while looking at the
Oh, are you
screen.
talking to me? It's very weird. Alternative universes.
It's a bit disorienting. It's exciting though. And I was just trying to see what the viewer count was like, and it looks like it's actually not telling me. It's almost at 100 on mine, which is good. But I think we can kick off. I'm super excited to be doing this session. We're here again with Lisa Illingworth from Raise. We're going to be talking about finance for founders. This is a workshop on how founders, or how really anyone who's building a business, is thinking about a side hustle, is thinking about starting something, or managing the finances of a company, can do that effectively. So we're going to go through like the 101 of how to do that. And I'm pumped for this because honestly, like I am so bad at finances. It's like the last thing I do. I'm kind of just like, how much is in the bank, and that's it. Like,
Have I got
like
cash? If I'm cash liquid, I'm fine.
as long as we're not like, and we have enough for the month, I'm like, yeah, we're good. So that's why I'm super excited for this session. And I think it seems to be like a really common problem that founders have as well. So yeah, I'm pumped for this. Maybe I'll just introduce myself because not everyone here is tuning in from LinkedIn. I write a newsletter called Tech Safari, which covers what's happening across tech in Africa. But I'm also an investor, so I invest in early stage startups. And I used to run an ed tech, which was focused on getting people into tech jobs really quickly. But I think in this foray is like, sort of solo founder running a media business. It's like, it's now something that like I need to manage the financials of. We hire people, and so it's become like a really important thing for me to understand this. And when we were jamming about like session ideas, I was like, hey, a finance session would be great because I high key need that. So so that's
this
kind
is
of
purely for you, right? This is we're doing this for Caleb really live so that everybody can learn from Caleb's mistakes.
Exactly. That's it. But Lisa, so good to be here again with you. Do you want to do a quick intro?
So very quickly, for those who don't know, and I can see that there's a lot of old faces in the room, which is very cool, in the virtual room. Yanni, nice to see you here. Catherine, we've connected on LinkedIn, very cool. So I'm Lisa Illingworth, and I am the commercial director at Raise, which sounds like, okay, but how do you know about financial modeling if you're the commercial director? Because making money is about numbers. And so having a handle on those things is really important, particularly for Raise. But in my background, I've started 4 businesses, 3 of which were spectacular implosions, as they usually are when you're trying this thing out for the first time. And then the 4th business was great and still operational and amazing. So I stepped out of that business at the beginning of last year and wanted new problems to solve, and Raise speaks to my vision of empowering entrepreneurs, especially into Africa. So that's why I'm at Raise. And the session today is really about taking my experiences as a founder, working in my own business and setting it up and having structures there that I needed to optimize, and then even stepping into a role where I'm working for someone, but still having to manage the commercial degree of profitability in the business, and making sure that that is actually happening, and then giving stats and data back to the founder himself in order for him to make better financial decisions for the business in its entirety. And that's what we're doing today. And I love the fact, Caleb, that you've offered up Tech Safari as the guinea pig for this exercise, because it's really cool that you as a founder are saying, hey, listen, even I don't have this under the belt as yet, right? But just as a preface, or as a disclaimer for this session, is that we're not going to turn everyone into financial accountants or bookkeepers or CAs. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to give you the tools as a founder to better understand the finances in your business. So it's strategic more than it is about the formulas in the spreadsheets. Okay, so I just want to preface it with that. I passed maths at high school by 2%. And I think that was only because I had a crush on my maths tutor, right? So I only really attended tutoring sessions every Saturday because I had a crush on him, and I passed by 2%. So my maths is dodgy AF. But I'm happy to admit that it's not great, and that's why God gave us calculators and Excel, right? But that's what we're doing today, and that's my intro.
So yeah, Lisa, I want to ask you a couple of questions just about like finances in general and like what you're seeing, because Raise is a
Mm,
really interesting company where like you're a
yeah,
startup, you have to manage your own cash flow, obviously, and you have like a great
yeah.
team that you need to like pay and all these expenses you need to cover.
Mm,
But you also have an insight into a lot of startups across Africa. Like you manage their
mm,
cap tables, you help them with financial modeling, you
yeah.
help them with their valuations. And I think
Hmm.
you have some really cool insights into like what you're seeing through startups that do have like solid financial modeling and ones that don't. So I want to ask you a couple questions on that front. Um,
Yeah.
I want to start with one which is a little bit like more focused on you actually, which is like how did you pick up like finances and for founders? Like what was your process of learning that? Was it like, oh wow, like I really need like, how did you get to a point where like, damn, I need to get on top of my finances?
I have a coach. His name is Wayne Hartman, and Wayne is brutal. He is absolutely brutal. And I think with me, you kind of have to be, right? Because I'm a bull in a china shop most days. Um, and so he picked up on this, and we were looking at the different revenue streams coming into Future Proof, and he was saying to me, okay, but what are your unit economics? Like, how much GP are you generating of each of these revenue streams coming in, and what's the relation to your gross profit versus your net profit? And how can you tweak those and optimize those in order to make better financial decisions for this business? And I was like, cricket. I have no idea, none whatsoever. So Wayne held me to account to make sure that I got help into the business, into start this financial modeling process. And I can tell you, like going to the doctor once a year, like going to the dentist once a year, sometimes financial modeling for those who are not financially minded is like dental surgery. It's horrible. I hate doing it. I didn't want to look at it. I was like, it's too big, it's too overwhelming. I'm just going to feel like an idiot, so I'm not going to do it. And I
Mm,
worked very, very closely with someone who had, founder background, but also financial background and investment background. And we actually sat and we built it out step by step together, not so that he handed me this, template and said, okay, cool, you fill it in and bring it back to me. We actually sat together and did it. And I tell you what, it opened up my eyes completely. It gave me data to work with that I never, ever thought I could. And then I got
mm,
Lorato, who's on the call today, which is amazing to see her here. And Lorato was just a godsend to the business. And she joined it at a
mm.
really crucial time where we'd got funding into the business. We needed to use it really carefully and report against how we were using it on a month to month basis, which is obviously the good way of doing it. And then COVID struck. And and I tell you what, you don't know, who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. And in founder speak, that's like who's cash liquid. And we were
Mm.
very fortunate to be cash liquid, but we had to be so careful as to how we spent that cash because we didn't know when this anomaly of world change was going to end. And
Just a
there was,
definition check up here, Lisa. So cash
yeah,
liquid meaning money in the bank or like you're profitable. Like what does that mean?
no, cash liquid mean you've got money in the bank to spend.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You can be cash liquid and not be profitable, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So and let's start this conversation with business exists to make profit, not to make money. I think that needs to be clarified.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, not to raise and pump that money into stuff. Okay.
Right,
Great.
exactly.
Um, and so I think that like from that thread, I think there's an interesting point here, which is that you had Lorato join the team
Mm,
as CFO. I'm
mm,
guessing at that point you're a bit, you're further removed then from like obviously you see the financials, but you're not actually analyzing it or going deep into it.
exactly.
It sounds like there's a point where it's like you need to worry about your financials as a founder, and
Mm,
then like there's a point
mm,
where you hire someone to deal with that. I think
mm.
like subconsciously, I'm like, I'll just wait until I can hire someone to deal with that. But like, which is why I'm like, like whatever.
How will you
Let's make the
know?
money.
How will you know when you're ready to hire that person?
I
When you've
don't
got
know. I don't know.
enough
Like
cash flow?
when we're not cash
How
liquid,
will
I
you know?
guess. So no, there's no money in the bank. um,
Exactly.
but like at what point? I'm curious at like what point you need to be
Yeah.
able to do it yourself, versus
Mm,
like when should you get someone in to do it, either full time or like
mm.
fractionally. Like what are the options there, and what's the sort of scope? Like who
Mm.
is this best for?
Right. So when you're starting out and you're kind of pre-revenue and you're doing some assumptions on that, that's on you, right? You know your market base, you know your customers base, do it with that. If you are now going into a revenue stage where you're doing first rounds of testing and things like that, you need to be quick and agile. And the agility that, having a second person, people always bring complexity to an organization, always. So another layer of complexity into your business with another person into it is going to slow it down. Stay as agile and lean as you possibly can. But be very honest with yourself. When you get to the point that you are no longer able to do this effectively, where there's too much error coming in and you're exhausting the point of your talent and abilities, that's the point where you need to bring somebody in. And I got to that point. The first person that I actually brought in was a bookkeeper or an accountant, just to be able to manage my books and make sure that they were clean. Ensure that the allocations were done effectively and that my, audited financial statements were there at the end of the year, because those are key things to unlocking funding, whether it be investment, whether it be VC, whether it be grant. You need to have a clean set of books. So I then brought someone in to do that. And that was probably in year 2 to year 3. I couldn't manage it myself. There are too many transactions going in and out. And I was losing track of what needed to be paid versus what had been paid. And that when I started to lose control of those things and started to make people irritated, that's when I knew I needed to get someone to do the books. And then they came in. And then there's a next level, which comes to intelligent decision making based on finances. So now you're generating revenue, you're wiping your own face, the business is paying its own expenses, but actually you need to tweak some places in order to grow, or there's a amount of money that's coming in that needs to be managed effectively. At that point, it's really good to have yourself somebody who's skilled and disciplined in doing this. And then you can go and focus as a founder on the growth of it, and you can keep someone in the background that will hold you to account in the way that you grow, so you do it responsibly.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. It sounds like when you're there, when like it doesn't sound like there's a hard set, like, okay, I'm making like $1 million a year or like 200K a year, like I need someone in this space. It's a bit more like it's a capacity thing. And
exactly. I mean, it's like anything in startup world, right? It's the same as someone telling you how to win the lotto. Anything in startup world is buy a ticket, be in it, and that's your first step. But there is no exact formula to how to make these decisions.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, cool. Okay, nice. Thanks for that insight. That's really helpful. And then I guess so that's when you might need to, the sort of stage where you might need to have someone else step in. But it sounds like before then you're kind of on your own. Like if you're a founder, you're managing it, or your COO is managing it, and so you got to do it yourself. How are founders doing? Like, most founders you see, how are their financials? Are they all do they have financial models? Do they have good budgets? What's it looking like?
So typically they arrive to do a valuation with Raise, okay, because they obviously want to unlock funding and they need a valuation. They need an investment round of some sort, and they need a valuation in order to kick that off.
Maybe just taking it to super basics, what's a valuation, and when would someone or a business owner want something like that?
Okay, so a business owner, I typically haven't seen business owners that want to do it just for the sake of understanding what is their business valued at. There are some, but there's not few. I mean, there's very few. So typically what happens is a founder arrives at Raise's door saying, I need a valuation because there's pressure from an investor, or they want to do an application for VC, or they want to, do an application for grant. They need a valuation, or they want to bring on some shareholders. They need to understand, what is my business valued at in comparison to, and we use 5 different methods. So, but we're not going to go into valuations now, but we use 5 different methods and a weighted average of those methodologies in order to understand, what is this business currently worth. It's more difficult when you're pre-revenue, so you have to use a lot of assumptions and a lot of other benchmarks around. But once you post revenue, that's a little bit easier to do. So they arrive to understand, if I was to sell this business at this stage, what would I potentially be able to ask for it? And then that obviously means, if there's shareholding in that business, what are those shares worth to reach that end valuation point, that end number? And so we get founders that arrive at our door and say, I want to know what my business is worth. Cool. Right. Your financials are going to help inform what your business would be worth today and what it would be worth in the future, potentially, because you're going to use a baseline in order to do projections on top of that. So we need to look at those financials. What have you earned in the past? What is the predicted potential growth trajectory that you're on? And I see horrific financial models coming through. Like, I see people arriving with bank statements and going, okay, this is an expense, and they're highlighting it. This is a cost. This is, and they literally on bank statements, and then that has to be pulled into it. So we've seen, like, this is horrific in it. I've seen Excel spreadsheets that go on for days. And that, yes, there's all the numbers, but what do they mean? So I've seen like the two ends of the spectrum. And as founders, you really need to be able to distill down what's important for your business, where your flags are going to be, tracking those as health metrics to your business, and then being able to react on those as lead measures more than lag measures as well.
Yeah. How do you mean? Can you explain lead versus lag measures briefly?
Okay. So a lag measure is you seeing a pricing change in the market, and you have to then react to it. So it's something that's happened and you take a reaction from it, versus you doing a projection for it and you taking a proactive initiative in order to make sure that that risk is avoided. So your lead measures, as an example, and I'm going to give you some examples within this, like inflation. Inflation's a lead measure, right? So you need to react, and you need to know what your pricing is going to be, just even based on lead going forward. Inflation. A lag metric would be, as an example, a pricing change, and you are reacting to a pricing change in a legislative environment.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Yeah.
I think you're ready. That sounds very, very tentative, dear.
I'm just trying to stall. Maybe I'll ask you a few more questions so we don't need to stop. No, I'm okay. All right, let's do this. So, so maybe I'll just explain what we're going to do. We're about to go into Tech Safari's financials. Not the real numbers, but like just going into like how we would set out the financial model for Tech Safari if we looked at the business and some of the ways that we do that. So we're going to do that live and show you how we set that up. So
yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Like, I feel like there should be like some kind of drum roll at the moment.
I know.
And kudos to you, right, for coming on board and making yourself so vulnerable to be able to do this. Okay, so Caleb, the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do, and our audience can do this along with me as well. So guys, if you want to do this along with me and you want to, follow the same methodology, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm going to share my screen to be able to work with you. If you are missing this, or your signal, or you drop off, or whatever else, guys, you can download the guide for this on the screen. You'll see that there's a scrolling bar at the screen. There is a tutorial that you can actually follow yourself if you drop off or you can't stay for the whole session. So you're more than welcome to do that. I love that Olamiji's got like his there's a drum roll. I was like, it looked like popcorn. It's like he's getting ready for for the movie. So download your tutorial there if you need to. But I'm going to run through almost exactly the same, but very light kind of methodology. And the first thing, Caleb, that we're going to work on is your revenue streams, and that's typically where any business is going to start. So guys, join along if you want to with us. I'm going to switch into my spreadsheet. So I'm not going to be able to see you, Caleb. So like, you're going to have to like talk at me if you want to jump in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Cool stuff. Okay, good. Can you see my screen? Have you got it?
Still
it's a really basic spreadsheet. Is it incoming? Okay. Yes. No.
It's still coming. Was it the link to the guide that we posted? Okay, it's that bit.ly link. If someone can put it in the private chat on StreamYard side, then I can put it on my LinkedIn.
Then we can pop it on. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Or if
and I still can't
one
see
of the guys can pop it in there. You still can't see it. Is it not coming up? Is that your screen? I mean, like.
Can anyone? Yeah. Can others see it? Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to start again. Let's see if we can share screen.
Olamiji says we can't. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't see the screen either.
All right. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is just quickly upload it into a shared doc, and then we can actually share it as well with people. That'll make things a whole lot easier, won't it? And I can then present it on the screen. Have you got your revenue ready for me?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm just gonna just throw some numbers out there.
Okay, so you're gonna do it like kind of randomly.
Yeah.
All right,
brilliant. And by revenue, do you just mean generally, or do you want the line
generally
item?
No, so I'm gonna work that through with you. So I'm gonna take you through that process step by step so that you can actually understand how we would model it out typically. And that will help you, because then at least you're able to do it yourself. And that's exactly what we want, right? We want people to be able to do it themselves. We want people to be able to work with these things and it not feel like you just feel inept when you're starting out, right? Because you don't want to do that. Okay, cool. I'm going to do a Chrome tab. There we go. And we've got it. You should be able to see it now. It should be coming up.
Cool.
Got it?
It is loading. Yep, got it.
Amazing. Okay, so all our audience can run the same exercise. It's very basic. We have not put bells and whistles on this specifically because we don't want you to feel like, oh, you have to come up with an amazing template first before you do it. There is one that you can download and you can use, but you can also run this process with us yourselves. Okay, so Caleb, let's kick this off and say, right, what type of revenue have you got in your business? So give it a broad type. You do paid for advertising as an example.
Yeah. So paid ad spots. Yeah.
Paid ad spots. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is this core to your revenue that you're generating, or is it on a project basis? So if something comes up, you'll take it. But is this core to how Tech Safari generates revenue?
It was core. It's kind of changed. So I don't know what I'd classify it as. It probably will be core again. I just haven't prioritized it.
Okay, but it has been core in the past.
It has been, and it probably
you might change something. Okay. Yeah. Is it seasonal? So does it have a seasonality or is it a fairly stable thing that you can predict?
I think it's fairly stable, but I think it's stable. Yeah.
Okay. And as a priority in terms of what you are working in terms of revenue, is it a priority for you to focus on this?
It's lowest priority. Yeah.
Okay. So let's put you low. What are the costs associated to this?
Just time. I mean, do you factor time into this at all, or is it just actual costs?
Okay, so whose time? This is important. Okay, right. Yeah. So your time is typically paid for by the business. Now, this is interesting. Your time is going to be paid whether the business is making money or not.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is an expense. And I think that's the clarity that sometimes founders don't have, is they go, okay, it's a cost, but what is an expense? An expense is the thing that the business incurs every single month, whether there's revenue coming in or not. They will incur that, and that's an expense. But a cost is only incurred when this revenue stream is activated.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So there's no cost associated besides your time to this revenue stream in particular.
No.
Cool. Okay. Payment cycles. What typically have you got in terms of payment cycles for this revenue stream?
Usually monthly.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Average amount per transaction, and you can fudge this. I mean, we're making you very vulnerable.
I actually advertise it, so it's usually $500.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's just put in 500 in terms of that. Okay, now in terms of the revenue streams, and if you were to take a step back and look at your revenue streams, what would you say, thumbsuck, the percentage that it would add to the gross profit of all of those? Bearing in mind there's no cost associated with this revenue stream. I don't know what the cost associated with the others, so this can change. What is the percentage that it would add in terms of profit? And it can be a thumbsuck.
I actually don't know, because it's okay. Would I need to know expenses fairly well to answer this question?
No. No. And this is important as well for founders, is that your gross profit is not your expenses. So your expenses would work out your net profit. So your gross profit is everything that you've got costs associated. So revenue coming in from this. So costs associated, your amount per transaction minus the costs that you've got, the total of those transactions, that would give you your percentage profit, right? Yeah. So I'll give an example in terms of like future proof. So we run teacher training sessions, and teacher training sessions for us run at a ridiculous profit margin because it's me that goes and trains the teachers on entrepreneurship education for their schools, and we print manuals, and then we register them with the South African Council of Educators because the program is accredited. Those are the three costs that are associated with it. Because I don't take a salary from Futureproof anymore, I then build Futureproof for my time to do those. So a cost associated for me would be my time for that, because it only comes into play when I do those training sessions. And we know, because we charge, it's probably in dollar terms, probably about $300 for those training sessions, but the costs are just my time, my travel, and the printing, that the percentage GP is about 200% on that. Okay. Because of what's charged, 200, right?
How can you go over 100%? I don't get that. I thought 100% was like maximum.
No, because it's double basically what the costs are. So we're earning double, more than double what the costs are associated to that. Okay.
Okay, interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's leave the GP for now, and we'll come back to it.
Well, I mean, there's no cost associated, so isn't it just like all profit?
Yes, but it could be, I'm asking GP percentage. Okay, I see where your question's coming in. The example that I gave means that it's creating 200% GP of itself. I'm looking for the GP percentage of all of the revenue streams that you're coming in. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't, so you could, it's 100% with all the revenue streams. What percentage does this revenue stream generate for the 100% of all your revenue streams?
Right. Okay. I understand now. Today or in general?
Like, in general.
It's probably made up like 10% of our revenue.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, nice. Right, next revenue stream.
Events. So online events.
Online events. Do you differentiate between the two?
Yeah? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So like virtual events like this. Yeah.
All right. Online events. Are they core or are they ad hoc?
Core.
Great. Okay. Are they seasonal or are they stable?
Stable.
Great. Okay. Are they high or low priority?
These would be like, it's interesting because I think about priority in terms of like where I focus my effort.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you should think about.
Okay. So I think that like, because we understand how to do them, they're easy. Like this event is pretty straightforward. So I think it's probably medium priority.
Amazing. Right.
Because Lisa's the best. Medium priority. And then cost associated is like, again, zero. Like there's no.
It's your time, right?
Yeah, just time.
What's
Payment cycle.
The payment? Monthly. Cool. Average transaction value?
So I'd say like across all of them, just for the virtual events, like 1,200.
Cool. Okay. What percentage of GP does that make up in terms of total revenue?
This would probably be like 30%. Actually, maybe 40%.
Okay, we can come back and adjust these as we go, right? I think people need to understand when we're doing financial modeling, guys, that you don't need to like stress about having, when you're doing these assumptions, don't stress about having like the exact numbers within that, because you can always come back. It's iterative. It's like everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love the comment, like someone's sweating for you. Did you see that in the comments? Like someone's sweating for you. I love it.
This is wild. I'm doing I don't know. It's just kind of funny. Like I'm doing I'm putting all my financials on social media. And like my
really
business
are.
is on social media. I'm like, that's pretty, like, I'm proud that I'm doing that.
You should be. You really, really should be. When we did valuations, like I put up my Futureproof's valuation and took everyone through it. So it's like, it's vulnerable, but I guess founders like don't need another bumper sticker or motivational poster. Like they need to see it in reality and what it actually means for another founder. We don't need another business book, who says how it's supposed to be done. Okay, next type of revenue.
Okay, so I would say in-person events.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because it's not like the others. So they're ad hoc. I tried to do them. So some are monetized and some aren't.
Right.
Yeah, they're ad hoc. I'd say they're probably every 3 months.
So would you say that that's stable, or would you say that that's seasonal?
It's
because
seasonal,
can you predict
but it's based on me. Like I feel like I could repeatedly do events if I wanted, but they're seasonal for us because we only do them when we have space and time. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Because it's ad hoc, it could be stable if you made it core to the business and you focused on it, but at the moment it's seasonal because it's kind of when the demand comes up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Priority, I think it's like it's probably medium, and it's medium not because it's probably medium. Yeah. Because I want to do more events.
Exactly.
I think
it's more about the area of focus that you would put your time and effort into.
Yeah.
Okay. Costs associated with this one? I'm assuming there's costs.
Yeah, big time.
So venue rental.
Is this a dollar figure? Yeah. So venue, drinks. If we covered that. Like food.
Catering. Yeah.
What else?
What else?
I think those are the main ones: venue, food, and drink. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So
photographer as well. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Good. Nice. This is where things come to bite you often, is because you haven't thought about the costs associated with these revenue streams. Remember, they're only incurred when these revenue streams are engaged. So it's not something that you have to cover all the time, whether you're doing it or not. It's only what happens when you are doing these events. What's the payment cycle like for these? Is it quarterly? Sounds like it's quarterly.
Yeah, because it happens quarterly. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But it's not like someone will pay you monthly to run an event at the end of the quarter. It's not like there's a payment scheme that's attached to this. Cool. So it's quarterly. Okay. Average amount per transaction?
Would this be like for the whole event? Like how much we would?
Yes.
Okay. So it kind of ranges. It's between like 3,000 to 5,000.
Okay. So let's put a range in here and work on it. Okay, cool. And then what percentage of GP does that contribute? Bearing in mind that you would still have to remove all of these costs first before you actually have a GP percentage.
Interesting. Okay. Probably not much because we spent quite a bit on those events.
Exactly.
I would have said like if it was just how much we make off it and have made previously, it would be like 20% or like 25%. But if I remove the costs, it's more like it's honestly more like 10. Yeah.
Right. And that's important to know, because if you look at this analysis now, you can start to see where your revenue streams have no costs associated. Okay, yes, you have expenses that are going to be linked to those, but they have low costs, direct costs to that revenue stream. You might make a lot of money in terms of what you're doing here, but in the actual profit margins, it's low, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, big time.
Other kind of revenue streams.
Yeah, there's a bunch. So there's like sponsored editions.
Sponsored editions of the newsletter.
The newsletter, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Those are core. I think those are becoming our main products now.
Yeah. And are they stable or seasonal?
They're stable. I would say they're relatively stable.
High
my priority, I wanted more of the, like, I think for me, they're high priority because like we're good at them and they're really interesting. Like they're fun to do. No cost. The only cost associated is like we do have now, like we have a writer as well. So like we write together. So I'd say like maybe her.
Does that cost only incur when she's doing newsletters? Sponsored newsletters?
No.
Okay, so then it's an expense to the business.
Okay. Yeah, then there's no cost associated.
Okay, cool. What's the payment cycle like on those?
Monthly.
Cool. right? Oops, sorry. And then what's the average amount for a transaction on those?
Average, probably 2,000.
Cool. And percentage of GP?
This is probably like 30%.
Are you
Yeah.
starting to look at these numbers? And you're like, what percentage do I have to play with?
Yeah. I'm starting to think the events is coming down. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, right.
And
And we're going to
then
go back
we've
and we're
got,
going to tweak this.
yeah, okay. And then we've got consulting. So like, I
Do
don't
you
know
do
if this is
consulting?
consulting. Yeah, heaps. Yeah. It's like, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
yeah, we're gonna have to change the GP soon. But yeah, I consult for startups. So
Yeah,
just like, this
cool.
is core, yeah, because it's like usually like contract basis. It's like a monthly
Mm-hmm,
contract.
mm-hmm,
It's stable.
mm-hmm,
I also think this is high priority for us now too.
mm-hmm. Any
Um,
costs associated?
no, it's just time.
Payment cycle?
Monthly, yeah.
Okay, right. Average amount per transaction?
This would be like per month.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably between like across, probably on average like 3,000.
Okay, cool. And percentage of GP. Okay, but now we need to do some tweaking, right?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think consulting will be like is going to be the main thing. So I'd say it's probably like today it's like 40% of like
Okay.
our time and effort.
Right. So obviously you can see the problem here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, so let's fix this quickly, right? So you said
Yeah.
this is about 40%.
Yeah.
This is a high priority, and you
Okay,
said
I
it's a
don't think
monthly.
it's probably not 30% yet. I'd say maybe it's 20%
Okay,
there.
cool.
And
All
then I
right.
would say that yeah, and then I think events is probably less now. It's probably more like
Huh?
20%. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this stays at 10,
Yeah.
then this will go on to 20,
20.
and then you got
Yeah.
your 100. Does that look about right?
Sorry, so 10% paid ad spots. I don't know, paid ad spots. I feel like paid ad spots is a bit less, probably more like it's probably even smaller, like 5%.
So 5%.
Events at
Okay,
20
so you got
makes sense.
okay.
Um,
Good. So you're applying this is important for our founders who are doing this along with us. You need to test these assumptions against one another. You need to kind of like test your logic when
yeah.
you've got this in front of you. So it's good that you're doing that because you're actually modeling to our founders what they should be doing with their logic around the percentages. Cool. Okay. So you got 5%. Where should it go?
Yeah. Probably actually maybe it's the online events. So it's probably like the virtual events.
25.
25.
These
Yeah.
ones. Okay. Does
Yeah.
that look about right to you?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. Are you happy with that? What's this made you think now that we're already looking at this? Okay. Like what are you already starting to see come out in terms of trend on this?
Yeah. So I think like it just shows me where like the highest return is. I think like
Mm-hmm.
it also tells me like where I should honestly like I think it gives me a good idea of like where I spend a lot of time, like where there's a lot of cost and where there isn't. There's not that
Yeah.
much cost in general. I think honestly like the thing I'd like to think about more, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we do in this exercise, is like what's
Mm-hmm.
the amount of time it takes to do each of these things and like what's the output
Cool.
like.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to do because the biggest resource that you have at the moment is your time, is your capacity. And you have to be really intentional about where you're spending that. And that's an expense. And that's where we're going to head to next. Right?
Nice. Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's look at those expenses that we've got in here. And you, if I could spell your name properly, is the biggest expense that the business should be incurring at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So and let's kind of run fairly simple. It's a core to this business. It's stable sometimes, depends on the day, right?
Oh, we're going through the okay.
Right?
Okay.
It's a high priority. We don't have to do the costs associated because that's not applicable to this. It's a monthly payment. I'm assuming you pay yourself a salary.
No.
You don't?
No, I need to do it.
Problem number one. Problem number one. And I'm going to talk to our founders on this. Problem number one, guys, like you need to pay yourselves a salary, okay? Is that you are the best resource in your business. You are the pivot point. If it all falls down, it's going to be you. Like pay yourselves a salary. I don't care what it is, even if it's a minimal amount. Yeah. Pay yourselves a salary. Caleb.
Yeah. It's coming. I'll do it this month.
All right, cool. All right, you'll do it this month. If you in a amazing world, what would you pay yourself a salary? What would it be?
Oh, in an amazing world, I think like yeah, here probably like 5K a month is fine.
Awesome.
Perfect. Like that's how much, like, because I wouldn't want to I don't really want to take from my own, I don't know, it's like I would want to take the minimal from my own company. If I was crushing it, this would be as high as it could be. But
amazing. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Now we're going to look at, in the end, what's the percentage of net profit that you then, well, it's going to be an expense, right? So this is what the business is going to incur at any point, and then it will take from your net profit. Are you with me? So the net profit is what the business is left over with at the end of the month when everything is paid out. And that's your salary will affect net profit.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Okay, right. What other expenses have we got?
Yeah, so team would probably cost.
Are they isolated, like per person? Can you just give me their roles?
Yeah. Can we just bundle team? Like
sure, we can.
In one.
No problem. Yeah. No problem. They're so core, I'm assuming.
As core, stable, priority,
stable, high, ultra high. I know, aren't they always?
Medium to the team, to be honest.
Okay. Are there any costs? Are there any additional? No, we won't complicate this because otherwise it's going to like freak out. Is it a monthly payment cycle?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, monthly payment cycle.
And that's
bundled.
$3,000.
$3,000. Okay, and we'll come back to the percentage of it. Right. What other costs? What other expenses are you incurring?
Yeah, so we have subscriptions. I think overall subscriptions are costing us like $500 a month, and we need them. We can't really cut them out. Like,
you can't. No, like they're cool. You have to have them. Exactly. Yeah. Is there any seasonality to these subscriptions? Like, could it be on an annual basis?
No, because they're all just like, it's like the newsletter tool. It's like forms. Yeah.
All right. And those are all done on a monthly basis?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And they're high. You have to have them. They're on a monthly basis. And do you know what the total value is?
Yeah, I'd say like it's 500. Yeah, it's about 500.
Cool. All right, perfect. Anything else? Rent, office space, if there's lights, water, hosting.
I think it's like, I think the other one would be, see, I don't know if I think this fits under an expense because right now I've just been fronting it, but like travel is a big one, right? Like we're
travel is an expense. It definitely is. Yeah, okay.
Africa focused newsletter. I got to get around Africa.
Right.
So
is it core or is it ad hoc?
It's ad hoc. So sorry, is core like, is it essential all the time, or is it like
is it essential to the business for you to travel?
No, it actually isn't.
Okay, so it's ad hoc.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it seasonal or is it stable?
Seasonal.
Nice. Is it a high priority?
It's like medium priority.
Okay. There are a ridiculous amount of costs associated with it. Kind of the cycle at which you have to travel and pay?
Probably like quarterly.
Okay. Right. And the average amount.
Average amount, let's say, okay, so every quarter, I would say we're spending, I don't know, like 3,000 on travel.
Right. Cool. Okay. Other expenses.
Like growth, so like marketing spend.
Marketing. Cool. Yes. Ad
So
hoc?
ad hoc, it is ad hoc. Like I don't think it's like essential, and we haven't
No.
really done it yet.
Okay.
It
Stable or
would be a
seasonal?
stable. I'd say it's stable. Like it would be a thing that we do consistently.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Priority medium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
No
then
cost
like monthly.
associated.
Yeah,
Monthly. Cool. And the average transaction value?
I don't know. Like monthly, maybe like 1,000 max.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What else? What other expenses are you incurring, whether the business, whether it's running on like generating revenue or not?
Yeah, nothing really. I think that's the whole thing. I can't think of anything. Is there anything else you
Okay.
think I've missed
Well,
that I
maybe like
usually
data costs, if there's like phone costs, data costs, um, you know, is there any other things that you incur whilst running this business? Um, space, internet. Some people have rental because they have offices. But I guess you're at home, there's still like, or if you're working from home, there's still a portion of your home space that
Yeah.
is an office space. And a lot of companies actually, use tax benefits because they have a portion of their homes where they pay a rental for that they then use a tax break in order to claim back for that. So, I mean, there could be those things, but I don't know if you want to go into that level of detail at the moment, but these are obviously direct expenses that the business is going to incur as you go, right?
Yeah, okay. So like I don't think we've hit those yet, but eventually there will be like equipment costs and like
Yeah.
and stuff
Okay.
like that. So
okay, cool.
I think it will always
So
be
what I'm
remote.
going to do here is I'm going to change this quarterly amount just for the sake of ease. I'm going to change this quarterly amount to a monthly amount and broken down by 3. Okay. So
Nice.
I'm going to just say that this is 1,000 Rand per month if you were incurring it, but you're incurring it on a quarterly basis. And then I'm just going to get the total of what Tech Safari needs to generate per month in order to break even, right?
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. So what you would typically do as a founder is you would look at each of these and you would say, right, here are my, top performing revenue streams that come in. This one, like in-person events, for me, you're running at a margin that is too low right now. If this is all the things that you are covering, and you're only generating between $3,000 and $5,000 per quarter based on that, like that amount per transaction for me is.
But I do it. Okay, so this is more like around like okay. An interesting thing here. I'm curious to get your take on it, Lisa. Is like, what about the things that are not like revenue additive per se, but they're more about community and like relationship, right? Like, I really want to host events around the continent because I want to meet people in person. I think that's like it makes us real.
Okay.
So
the loss leader then. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it's called a loss leader. For founders that are new to this term, it's something that you do in order to generate traction in the market, but it's not something that's going to generate a high profit margin. However, it possibly could turn into upsells into other things. And that's the question for you, is that this could be a loss leader for you where you accept that there's going to be a very low profit margin on this, but you capitalize on the traffic that you generate from this and you turn it into other traffic in the business. Okay. So if you're doing in-person events, what is the upsell? What is the next line item of revenue that you're going to push these people towards?
So I think like this is almost like a business model question where it's like,
it is.
at an event like this, it's more about tech safari community coming together rather than me selling them something. So it's just more like building the brand and being real and having a presence.
Absolutely.
So there's no direct upsell,
and feeding back into the community, which is what you do. But if then you would probably find that that's marketing.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. But it can be something that breaks even, right? Like, I think that's, or like makes a little bit of money. I don't think we lose money. We don't ever, actually, we have lost money on events before, but most of the time it's break even or make a little bit. So, I mean, is it like, I don't know if it's marketing then, because it is kind of revenue, but it's not like great revenue.
It's a little bit. I mean, I still think if it's not break even, then it's GP. But then in terms of like, it actually gives you presence, it gives you feeding back into the community, it actually forms a marketing function in the business, then you would still keep it. But in terms of where your focus should be, it shouldn't be on that, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you're running a very, very tight model at the moment. I mean, this is like as lean as startups can get. So there's nothing here that can be culled or reduced. I mean, like for founders, I would say, as you scale and grow, keep an eye on subscriptions. I mean, when I arrived at Raise, we had 56 different platforms that we used across the business. Like, and we went through an exercise. Yeah, we went through an exercise of just going and just culling them and just understanding what does our absolute critical stack look like in order for each thing to speak to one another. Make sure your integrations are working seamlessly, and then pull those subscriptions that you don't need. Please, like keep, and on subscriptions, if you want to tighten those up, pay annually. Don't pay monthly if you can, if you've got the cash flow available, because that will then tighten things up. Travel, you kind of have to do it because that's you're part of an African community, and so you have to travel within that. But if money's really tight, you're not going to do it. And marketing is the same as well. But you'd need your team, you need to pay yourself. So I don't see a lot of room here to tighten up on your expenses within this. So we're going to take a very quick look, because we've got like 3 minutes. And just Catherine asked if it's in Rand or USD. We're working in USD at the moment, Catherine, just because Caleb, that's his profit margins that he's working on is in USD. But you can convert these to Rand if you wanted to. So let's just take a look quickly and say, all right, if you are generating monthly, and I'm just going to work on a monthly basis here. And you can do the tweaking within that. You've got, $500 within that. This is also a monthly expense, which is 1, 2, and I'm just saying that you would get one of these subscriptions per month. We're not going to, I suppose we could do this per quarter, but it's $1,000 per quarter. You would then say, cool, this is monthly, it's 2,000, we're just doing one, and then you would do 3,000 within that. And you would say, cool, what am I generating if I just did one of these things per month, right? So you're not at break even yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you would then have to say, cool, where would I tweak? And given the fact that these consultings is the thing that's generating the most profit for you, they don't have costs associated to it, you would focus your time specifically on that. So you would want to say, cool, I want to up this to maybe 2 a month. Okay. Break even.
Wow.
So if you
there we go.
There you go. So if you just did 2 consulting gigs per month, it generates the most amount of profit for your business, gross profit, and it actually gets you past break even point. Now, if you add on any one of these, and I would go to those things that are generating the most, and I would go to this, and you just do one more of those, you're starting to make profit. Okay, gross profit, right? Net profit, sorry, because you've taken into account this is all your expenses. Okay, now you're starting to make net profit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. So that's the very, very basics of financial modeling. And if you're a founder and you're doing this with it, and there's a lot of chatter going on about founder salaries in the chat. I didn't know this was such a massive talking point. But like, if this is where you're starting out, it's just to understand, cool, what's coming in, what's going out, and how do I tweak those things and focus my time in order to generate the most amount of profit, not the most amount of money, most amount of profit.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And then like I have so many questions about like what happens after this. Like once you find out the
Okay.
things that you want to double down on and like
Yes.
what becomes your goal, like how do you think about goals around spend and like saving
Yeah,
it? Like cuz we're obviously trying to maximize how much we make, but like yeah,
absolutely.
like how do you think about
So
like redeployment and yeah.
as soon as you've got funds available and you've got cash that you can play with, you then start looking at your main revenue streams and you say, cool, how do I market those revenue streams? So how do I push marketing spend directly towards those revenue streams in order to
Mm,
push that spend up so that you've
yeah.
got the most amount of profit coming in? So that would be the first thing. That would be like an investment back into those revenue streams, would be to market them. Then if you wanted to, you would need to reduce the amount of, now because it's your time, that's the resource. How could you
Mm,
reduce your time in your consulting so that you had more available time in order
yeah.
to focus on some of the other revenue streams? And what you would
Yeah.
then do is bring in some like modeling that you could do, some stacking that you could do with tech. um, how could you do something once as a consultancy business and then use it multiple times to leverage on?
Yeah.
So could you build a tool once that could be used across multiple businesses? And you would
Mm,
take your
yeah.
time and you would use your time more effectively in order to generate more profit based on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. Okay.
And that would be, so you'd invest in another subscription potentially of something that could automate something that you would do manually.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. So that's it. I mean,
Nice.
we time up.
Fire. Yeah, that's great. This is awesome. This is actually really like a very, very helpful guide for me to work through and like to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
thanks.
what you
This
would
is
do
great.
is you would take the raise template and you would plug it all into the raise template, and you would do this almost like on a yearly or monthly basis. And then you could start tweaking these numbers as the money came in, and as your money went out, you would do that. So guys, welcome to download that template that we've got available for you on that link. And then you guys can carry on with your modeling yourselves. But Caleb, what has been your profound insights looking at this now with this data in front of you?
I think like the thinking around gross profit is, and what percentage of gross profit that is, and the idea around like removing the cost of that was really, really interesting, right? It's like I feel like you can make a lot of money through stuff, but you could be spending just as much to get that profit. And so it's like,
Yeah.
it's refining. Yeah. It like really refines like profit.
Yeah. And I think just like to add a little bit of lingo to that, it's called unit economics, is to say like, what are your unit economics per revenue stream? Where should your time and effort go? Where should your marketing spend go? What's generating the most amount of profit, not what's generating the most amount of money? And I'm so
Yeah.
glad Olamide picked that up, because if one thing that lands from today is this. And I've got a founder typically who likes to build the bright, shiny things, and who heads off, to build all the different cool, shit that he wants to do, but does it make money? And not does it just make money, does it make profit for the business?
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to say that if all the deals land this month that we've been working on, like Raise is set to make the most amount of money in the business that it's ever made. So I'm like, yes, for a VC funded business, like yay. It's so cool to see. And we've done this where we start to tweak on what's the revenue streams that bring in the most amount of profit for our business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
super cool.
Thank you.
Maybe like thank you. This is so helpful.
Yeah.
I hope that everyone who is like watching along found this helpful too. I'm really curious to know like maybe one thing that's like, or one takeaway that people had from that session. Olamide says one profound point for him is business is about profit, not just making money. I thought that was also really strong.
And you don't know what that profit is. Like if you don't know, you might be making a whole ton of money, but there's no cash flow because you're not making profits. So yeah. And then there's a whole bunch of discussions about founders' salaries.
Yeah, I really want to know what the payday founder's salary was now.
Yeah. Cool, guys.
Where can people go if they want? Because Raise actually provides run-throughs of like
exactly. So
financial models.
exactly. So if you're struggling with this still and you just can't get a handle on it, and it's something that, you know, it feels like dental surgery, it just feels like too much to do. Ray does do financial modeling, and you work with a proper financial analyst to sit and go through this. And not only does she do like the revenue and the income, she actually does the projections with you. So just pop onto raise.africa and you can sign up for financial modeling under the services tab there. But the team, if you go onto the link, the team will actually give you a link shortly in the chat, and you can just click on that. And you can sign up for financial modeling. And I want to say that, you know, because we work so well with Caleb and Tech Safari, we get a lot of great founders coming through this forum. We always offer a 10% discount on any of those. Our financial modeling starts at $1,000, but you guys will get a 10% discount on that for your financial modeling. And we'll help you with that right the way through to projections, to forecasting, and if you're, you know, lucky enough, we might even just throw in your valuation as well. So there is the link in the chat. You'll see it from Raise Impact Technologies. Please join the conversation around this, and we'll get in touch and we'll get you some proper help around your financial modeling. Just so that you do it properly and effectively, and you know what data you should be looking at. Yeah.
So good. How did you find this, Lisa?
I love it. I mean, I like the teacher in me comes out. You can see it like immediately when I do this. Like I think like my tone of voice changes and my whole like persona changes, and I become like Teacher Lisa.
Yeah.
But Caleb, like, I mean, I am truly invested in like the business of Tech Safari. I think you and I have walked a journey together, and you've added so much value to Raise. It's really nice to have like the roles reversed, where I can add some value back to you. So that's kind of cool for me to be able to do that. And I mean, I must say, like, these sessions are always super informative for me. You and I, you know, have really hard discussions about real things. We don't gloss over. I mean, Flip, your numbers are on the screen for everybody. That's amazing. Like, that's absolutely amazing for me to see that you're being so transparent with your audience to work with. So it's been a real privilege to walk you through this. And you know where to hit us up if you need some advice, if you need some consulting.
For sure. Name on this side. Let me know. So good. This was so fun. Should we wrap up here, Lisa?
I think we should. Yeah.
I might just do one thing. Guys, if you have any ideas or like requests on sessions you want to hear from us next on like being a founder, building a company, really just like startups in general, or like raising money, maybe just put it in the chat, because we really like, we listen to what you guys suggest, and most of our ideas come from your biggest needs. So we'll do this again. So put it in the chat or respond to the email after the event, and we'll take it into it.
And if there are any founders here who've got this waxed and are kind of moving on to the next stage, Raise actually offers a complimentary scenario calculator on our website. So if you actually sign up for the Raise platform, it's complimentary on that. You don't have to pay a subscription in order to sign up. There will be subscription options if you want to use the rest of the functionality, but there is the calculator there, and you can go into scenario modeling based on your company's valuation, dilution of capital, and you can actually do a whole like understanding of what your future could look like if you were to use that calculator. So you're more than welcome to jump onto the Raise platform, raise.africa, and there it has the calculator. You log in, you sign up, and it'll give you the calculator there that you can do. Thanks, guys. Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Sign up if you want to use it. You'll get the tutorial, and you'll get the discount as well.
Awesome. So good. Thanks, team. Let's wrap up there.
Wonderful
See you at the
stuff.
next one.
Thank you, everybody. See you at the next one. Bye, everyone. Thanks, guys. Bye. Yay.
Nice.
I think we're still live.
That's curtains, Rosie.
Curtains, yeah, like close and end. Mic drop. Lisa walks off. I know living with you is carnage.
Someone needs to stop the stream. It's stuck.